Hi, I'm Joe Feeks, editor of Pig Health Today, and with me is Dr. Bill Hollis. He's a swine veterinarian at Carthage Veterinary Service in Illinois. Great to have you back.
Thank you, Joe. I appreciate the invitation.
I want to talk with you about Mycoplasma. I know it's a favorite topic of yours, but this is an old bug that's been around for a long time. I mean, we've got feed medications, water medications, we've had vaccines around for, I think, at least 25 years. It's still around. What are we doing wrong?
Well, it's a very good question, and it's a difficult bug. So many of my clients really have not used the diagnostic tools that we have to investigate their current status very well. So the new is really understanding the prevalence within a population, and that helps us guide the strategy for either control or elimination. Once we understand both in the breeding stock gilts, so the animals coming into the herd, the sows within the population, and if they're shedding into the farrowing crate, and then of course the baby pigs that are leaving the farm, and understanding when those pigs leave, the prevalence of the organism and the behavior that that organism could take, and specifically talking about Mycoplasma hyopneumoniae and leading to pneumonia.
And I guess it's been kind of an underrated disease over the years. From what I've read, people, they knew it was there, they knew it was a respiratory disease, but they never fully appreciated the economic impact.
Once we began to work at elimination programs, so in breeding stock populations that eliminated and then gave clients the opportunity to have a naive gilt to enter the herd, that was a very good tool, because now you can make a decision of what you're going to do with that female as she enters the sow farm. So having that naive population allowed us to create naive commercial populations, and then those pigs grew at a more efficient rate, less antibiotic use, and we just have learned a great deal more as we've worked to eliminate the organism from certain populations. We have to understand the risk and the organism and the prevalence so we can choose the correct path.
But there's a paradox. I mean, you've got some operations that have eliminated Mycoplasma. A lot of others are still struggling with it. I asked you before what we're doing wrong. Maybe the better question is, what could we be doing better?
I would say we're working hard to understand where the organism is evading our tools. So if it's a gilt population that may be getting exposed late, either at entry into the herd or late in their gilt development, they may become a chronic shedding population in that gestation barn. So it's important that we understand both, is our goal to be naive, and if it is, how are we going to eliminate it, and what are those barriers within that population? The pathologists have helped us with really good diagnostic tools now, so we can target specific populations with those diagnostic tools, tracheal swabbing and PCRs, for example. The vaccines and the medications have been very effective over time, but there's a cost both to those organisms and then to the prevalence of the disease. And so understanding when that disease is going to strike and at what level and preparing for that makes a big difference in the growing population.
Yeah, and preparing is a key word. And, you know, again, we have feed and water medications. I neglected to mention injectables earlier, and then we have the vaccines. How do you bring all these together to get better control of the disease? How do you know which ones to use at which times?
Well, I can give you an example, and it's a painful one. We did have a client with a naive population that became active, so they got infected. And preparing for that ahead of time, knowing that an aggressive medication therapeutic program, a mass vaccination of that sow population, pays good dividends at reduction of the organism shedding downstream. That's an extreme example of that population that became active. The chronic ongoing status leads to sort of, as you described earlier, this acceptance of Mycoplasma in the growing pig population. So then making a decision of, can we reduce the population or possibly even eliminate the Mycoplasma hyopneumoniae from the population, and then laying that against the benefit that we would receive. That helps us understand where to target those vaccines, which medications and what time periods will be most effective with that population. And frankly, if there's other infectious disease prevalence pushing, so flu virus or PRRS virus, pushing that Mycoplasma to explode,